how to get obsessed. No, I don't mean this in the bad way. I don't mean this in a creepy way. I don't mean this in the negative way. I mean it in the way of work and passion and getting obsessed over your work and your job and your career and getting obsessed over the things you care about, right? Reaching that stage where you just love the thing so much you just can't get enough of it, right? And so, how do you actually get obsessed? How do you force the hand? How do you force yourself to get into this zone of becoming obsessed with something, with like your work, like your job, like your career, like the goals in your life? How can you get obsessed with the things you care about? The key is literally a few principles that you can easily just use to reframe your perception of it and to really implement it into your life pretty easily. Um, I feel like I'm just yelling from the rooftops about these ideas because they all kind of sound the same. But I mean, these principles all work. They are based off of what has worked for most successful people in history. And I mean, there might be something new out there that needs to be tested, but you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to drive. And so the first principle is one single focus. So if you want to get obsessed with something, you can't be obsessed with 20 different things at the same time. You need to pick one thing so that you can make a lot of progress in that one direction, right? Instead of making progress in 20 different directions, you make progress in one direction. And the cool thing is, this allows your obsession to really, really come to life, right? Because if you're spread thin and you're trying to obsess over 20 different things at the same time, then you can never focus and dial in on that one thing. And as a result, you never actually allow yourself to be immersed into that thing. And you never allow yourself to actually be obsessed or get obsessed, right? And so that's why picking one focus, one goal, one relationship, one business, one job, one career to get obsessed over is so important, because if you pick them all at the same time, they all become just another to another task on your to-do list. They don't become their own to-do list, right? You almost want to make the goal of you want to have the goal of being obsessed over something to the point where it has its own to-do list, right? It is the to-do list. It is the only thing on your to-do list. That is how focused and dialed you want to be towards this thing. And then the next principle is a long time horizon. I feel like this pattern of just extending time periods and extending your perceptions of how long something takes is a hugely important idea because of the world we live in, where shorts, Instagram reels, everything's quick. We can microwave food. Everything happens so fast. We expect things to happen fast. And so we have like a short attention span now, and so we think that things are just gonna happen within a snap of a finger, like same day Amazon delivery type of stuff. Like, we expect things to happen rapidly, and so whenever we think about goals and achieving things, starting businesses, right? In the past, it's taken years. It's taken years for these things to happen, but recently, people have found ways to expedite the process, but at the cost of, in some cases, quality and ethics and morals. And so ask yourself the question, do you want to make a mediocre company? Do you want to achieve mediocre goals? Or do you want to be the one that builds an extraordinary company that achieves extraordinary feats and goals? Which one do you want to choose, right? I mean, that's up to you. Give me extraordinary all day long, right? So, and to do that, you need to extend it on a long time horizon, because the most extraordinary companies that we now know have taken decades to build. The most incredible athletes have taken decades to train. Like the most jacked bodybuilders, that's years, if not decades of work, of dieting, of exercise, of all the things to get to that point. So if you want to be extraordinary, you need to have a long-term mindset. You can't just have the short attention span that everyone else does. And especially for getting obsessed in particular, you need to be obsessed over a long enough amount of time for the outcomes of your obsession to come to fruition. And then the final thing, the final principle is positive reinforcement and friendly competition. So you need to have a motivator. You need to have something that keeps you in the ring, right? Something that keeps you standing up and showing up. And that is through positive reinforcement. But what most people think of when they think of positive reinforcement, it's like the food that you give to the dog after you ring the bell, right? That's what they think of. But that's external, right? It's externally motivated. But if you want to become obsessed, you need an internal positive reinforcement. You need to be able to reinforce yourself inside your own mind. And instead of whipping yourself, constantly in your own mind, negative thoughts, telling yourself that you're not good enough, reframe those thoughts and turn them into positive reinforcement, right? Tell yourself that you've made a lot of progress, that you have worked really hard. Start to have this positive dialogue with yourself, and it'll make the process of getting obsessed over a goal or your work a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable. And then finally, friendly competition. This is pretty important especially if you're a competitive person. If you're anything like me, I need some form of competition, like something to compete against, someone to compete against. It just gives me a reason to keep showing up. It fires me up. It sparks excitement. And so you need that. You need at least a little bit of competition, right? Because humans are naturally motivated by competition. Think gladiators. Think primitive, right? We were competing against each other for tribal territories, for food, for women, all these things, right? For partners, for all these things, we compete. And so it's wired into our brains. And so if you can add a little bit of competition in there to whatever it is you want to get obsessed over, I mean, you could even compete against yourself, but it's better to like have someone else to compete with. Like friendly, it's like a friendly competition, and this will just drive a lot more obsession. And it'll be a better motivator for you to take action and to stay obsessed. Goodbye.